Over the last 2 weeks, we've been building a foundation. First, we saw that habits are not just actions, they are shaping who we are becoming. And then we looked deeper and recognized that lasting habits don't begin with behavior, but with the heart. And now we take one more step, because if habits grow from the heart, we have to ask, what is shaping the heart? That's a subtle but very powerful reality in every home. You can feel it even if you've never named it. It shows up in how people speak to one another, how conflict is handled, and how time is used, and what is rushed and what is valued. It's not written down anywhere, but it is always present, and that is the culture of our home. You might give the same instruction in two different homes, like please help your sibling, and get two completely different responses. Not because the instruction or the words have changed, but because the environment is different. In one home, helping is normal. In another, it feels like an interruption. In one home, gratitude is practiced, and in another, it's expected, but rarely modeled. In one home, calm correction is the pattern, and in another, frustration fills the space. And over time, what is normal in a home becomes natural in a child. What is repeated becomes expected, and what is expected becomes instinct. This is why culture matters so much, because habits don't grow in isolation, they grow in an environment. We have to be intentional about the habits being formed at home and also being informed in the classroom. Things like attentiveness, obedience, and truthfulness, whether you're doing that in a homeschool environment, a hybrid school, a private school, a co-op, or a public school. But you see, those habits don't stay at school. They are either reinforced or quietly undone by what is normal at home. When home and school are aligned, habits take root much more deeply. But when they are not, children receive two different pictures of what is expected, and formation becomes much harder. Scripture gives us a picture of this kind of formation. Deuteronomy 6:6 and 7 says, "These words you shall teach diligently to your children when you sit in your house and when you walk by the way." You see, formation doesn't only happen in structured moments, it happens in conversation, in correction, and in daily rhythms. In other words, it happens in the culture of your home. So when we think about habits, we don't just ask, what should my child do? We also ask, what is it like to live in our home? Because if we want to grow thankfulness and generosity and obedience, then those things have to be visible and practiced and normal. Not perfectly, but consistently. So this week, choose one area of your home to pay attention to: the tone of your conversations, or how correction is handled, or how gratitude is expressed, or maybe how responsibilities are approached. And ask, what is becoming normal in our home in this area? And what will make that natural in my child? Not what you hope is happening, but what is actually being formed. Then choose one small shift. Maybe it's just a calmer response, or a more intentional thank you, or a moment of patience instead of urgency. Because culture is not changed through big declarations, it is shaped through small, repeated choices. And over time, what becomes normal becomes natural. Those patterns become habits, and those habits shape the heart. I'm so thankful for the homes that God has given us and the everyday places where life is lived and hearts are formed. I pray that God will help us to see clearly the cultures that we are creating, not in just what we say, but in how we live, and that He will give us the wisdom to shape our homes with intention, patience, and grace. And through the small, faithful moments of each day, that He will form in our families hearts that follow Him.